Here's the translation of the article you provided, maintaining the original punctuation and complexity. Truly wise parents, when faced with their children's disrespect and estrangement, just 6 words are enough. When children disrespect you and ignore you, don't get angry. Don't argue. Remember, these 6 words are enough. In the book, Transparent People, there's a saying, the more independent the children are, the lonelier the parents become. Even so, parents still learn to be understanding, always saying to you, I'm fine, you go ahead, busy yourself. Time passes, children gradually grow up, and the distance between us grows wider. Sometimes they even appear distant and estranged. Facing such changes, we may feel a sense of loss, confusion, or even dissatisfaction inside. But never get angry. Don't argue. Remember, these 6 words are enough. Second, it's not easy to keep your mouth shut. Living behind closed doors. Schopenhauer wrote in The Wisdom of Life, we must consider our personal affairs as secrets. Whatever our familiar friends cannot see with their own eyes, we should not let them know. Every household has its own troubles. Others often won't sympathize. Instead, they might gossip privately, which could escalate family conflicts. During the Guangxu era of the Qing dynasty, in Dongxiang, Tongzhou, there was a household living off rented farmland. The farmer's wife had 2 sons and 3 daughters. All 3 daughters were married, but the 2 sons remained unmarried for a long time. This farmer's wife had never attended a private school, and she enjoyed chatting with neighbors about everyday matters. Her 2 sons were very rebellious, always arguing with her, and they loved playing cards around, often not coming home at night. The farmer's wife, full of complaints, often confided her dissatisfaction to the neighbors. Before long, the nearby villages and townships spread rumors about her 2 unfilial sons. Soon, both sons reached marriageable age. The farmer father racked his brains, trying to find virtuous wives for his sons, hoping they would mature and become stable through this. However, everyone in the surrounding area knew about his son's extremely bad behavior, and no household was willing to marry their daughters to his sons. In fact, although the farmer's 2 sons loved playing cards, they never slacked in their hard work, occasionally arguing back. But when their mother was ill, both sons took care of her without hesitation. However, good deeds do not go outside. Bad news travels far. A few simple complaints from the farmer were blown up into well-known scandals, not only humiliating himself, but also causing misunderstandings for his son's marriage prospects. Some children may show disrespectful attitudes towards their parents in public, but deep down, they still yearn for their parents' approval. If parents always mention their children's shortcomings in front of others, it will only damage the child's image in others' eyes and undermine their self-confidence. Worse still, it could lead them to self-destructive behavior. As parents, we should show tolerance, resolve family conflicts within the family, avoid criticizing our children's shortcomings in front of others. Internally, the family should be understanding, externally, cautious and tactful. No matter how the relationship with our children is, we should always protect our children's face in front of others, not letting outsiders judge or interfere. Home is a place of belonging, a sanctuary. For the harmony and peace of the family, we must protect family secrets. Third, don't argue. Suppress the urge to refute. Take a step back for advancement. Franklin once said, "Argument is a game played by people, but it's a strange game where no one has ever won." Too many people have a good temper in front of outsiders, but have no patience for loved ones, especially parents. It's easy for children to lose control and argue with each other. Old Lou, the neighbor, always complained that his daughter's attitude towards him was getting colder. They would start arguing after a few words. Actually, it was because his daughter shared daily interesting stories with him, but he always interrupted her, only focusing on playing. She's grown up and hasn't found a partner yet. I can't hold my head up in front of relatives. She confided her dissatisfaction to her father, wanting to change jobs, but received questioning about why she couldn't keep a job. Young people need to endure hardship patiently. Old Lou suddenly wanted to learn video editing. After his daughter taught him a few times, she got impatient. Old Lou cried again and again. I raised you to read so many books. Now that you have wings, you're unwilling to teach me something so simple. Every communication ultimately evolved into a fierce quarrel between the two, parted ways without joy. Gradually, his daughter became silent and reserved. Faced with old Lou, her heart completely closed off. Some parents are too strict with their children. They don't allow them to make mistakes, or even make any decisions. When children behave rebelliously, they often choose more aggressive ways to argue, which only exacerbates the conflict between them. As parents, when children disrespect you and ignore you, you should maintain an objective attitude. If you are at fault, admit your mistakes proactively, setting a good example for your children. If your children are at fault, don't suppress them with authority, provoking their rebellious psychology. Hold back the urge to refute. Respect without arguing can guide children to reflect on themselves. French writer Maroya once said, "To think that two people have the same thoughts, the same judgments, and the same desires is the most absurd thought, and it's also undesirable." Many times, the conflicts between parents and children are not about right or wrong. Each generation has different habits of life and bears different responsibilities. These differences are often the root of the generation gap between parents and children, making it difficult for the two generations to agree on viewpoints. Young people may ignore their parents' teachings due to their lack of experience, appearing immature. As people grow older, they become more stubborn and nagging due to age. At this time, what we can do is to have more understanding and tolerance, restraining ourselves, facing the children's arguments, and keeping a comfortable distance from them. As Awakening of Parents said, we should gradually become parents who adapt to children's needs. When children grow up, we grow old. Understand the difficulties of children's lives. Try to accept and overlook their negative emotions. Instead of being trapped in trivial matters with children, it's better to focus on enjoying our remaining years, taking care of our emotions and bodies. Leaving ourselves a retreat for our old age is the most cost-effective thing to do now. Third, don't get angry. Stabilize your emotions. Laugh it off. Once, the Transformations program was popular all over the country. The protagonist Wang Jingze impressed me. Wang Jingze was born into a wealthy family in Jilin. He was privileged since childhood, and his parents rarely cared about his studies and education due to their busyness. Skipping classes, causing trouble, and fighting became his routine, disrespecting others, and disrespecting his parents. On the first day of participating in the program in the countryside, when the staff confiscated his luggage, he lost control of his emotions, even physically assaulting someone. At Grandpa's house in the countryside, he still maintained an arrogant and domineering attitude. The village grandmother kindly cooked for him, but he responded with arrogant words. I, Wang Jingze, would rather starve to death than eat anything from you. Facing the disrespect of urban children, the rural grandparents didn't get angry, but smiled and served him delicious meals again. Later, the rural grandmother rushed for 3 hours on the mountain road, caring for Wang Jingze with kindness, and urged him to study hard. After more than a month of experiencing rural life, the silent love of grandparents touched him. He became more sensible and actively reconciled with his parents, who were negligent in accompanying him. Later, Wang Jingze has been in touch with the rural exchange family, built a new toilet for his grandparents, and brought gifts on holidays and festivals. When children disrespect you and ignore you, the first thing to do is to stabilize your emotions. Anger doesn't solve the problem. It will also hurt the relationship with your children. Warmth and care are the best ways to resolve children's rebellious psychology. Napoleon once said, "The person who can control their emotions is greater than the general who can take down a city." People with stable emotions can not only reduce friction and conflicts with their children, but also solve problems better. If you want your children to respect and be filial to you, then learn to control your temper first. Never be a slave to emotions at any time. In the turmoil of the world, loud voices don't necessarily hold the truth. Sometimes, choosing silence is the most favorable response. Leave peace to your family. Leave right and wrong to time. In the book, Before You Leave, it says, the relationship between parents and children is a gradual separation and also a practice to cherish while moving forward. Parent-child relationships are not only a child's growth process, but also a parent's path of cultivation. A truly harmonious family won't waste time on meaningless disputes and conflicts. Truly wise parents, when faced with their children's disrespect and estrangement, will not get angry, argue, or discuss. The father's breadth and the mother's emotions determine the future of their children and the prosperity of the family. May we all have more understanding and tolerance in our remaining years, and less blame and complaint. Together, we manage a warm and happy home.